The last stand of the Legion. The sun rose over the crumbling fort as Marcus surveyed the distant hills, knowing the barbarians would soon arrive in force. He tightened his grip on his gladius, his mind racing with thoughts of the upcoming battle. Aurelian, the centurion, approached Marcus with a grim expression, his battle-worn armor gleaming faintly in the morning light. "They will come soon," Aurelian said quietly, his eyes scanning the horizon, always calculating. Inside the fort, Livia tended to the wounded and organized the civilians, her calm presence a source of hope. The fort was old, its walls cracked and worn, but it had held off enemies before and would do so again today. Varro, the youngest legionnaire, stood nervously near the gate, his heart pounding at the thought of facing the enemy. "Stay steady," Marcus told him, "courage comes with the fight, not before." The sound of war horns echoed from the hills, signaling the barbarian approach as the air grew tense. The legionnaires formed ranks, their shields raised and swords drawn, ready to defend the fort with their lives. Marcus could see the first wave of barbarians charging down the hill, their wild cries piercing the still air. "Hold the line," Aurelian shouted, his voice carrying over the noise of the approaching horde. The clash was immediate and brutal, with the barbarians throwing themselves against the Roman shields like waves crashing on rocks. Marcus swung his sword in precise, practiced movements, cutting down one attacker after another. Livia watched from a distance, her hands clenched tightly around a spear she had taken up for defense. Inside the fort, the civilians huddled together, their fear palpable but their spirits unbroken. Varro fought beside Marcus, his initial fear fading as he found strength in his comrades' unity. The first wave of barbarians fell back, regrouping for another assault, giving the legionnaires a moment to catch their breath. "We can't hold them forever," Aurelian muttered, his brow furrowed as he assessed their dwindling numbers. Marcus nodded grimly but refused to let despair take root. There was still honor in the fight. Livia moved among the soldiers, offering water and words of encouragement, her presence a reminder of what they fought for. The second wave hit harder than the first, the barbarians' numbers seemingly endless as they threw themselves at the walls. A spear glanced off Marcus's shield, sending a jarring shock through his arm, but he did not falter. Aurelian directed the defense with cold precision, his years of experience keeping the legionnaires steady under pressure. Varro stumbled, but Marcus caught him, pulling him back to his feet with a firm grip. "You're still breathing," Marcus said with a nod, "that means you're still in the fight." Arrows rained down from the barbarian archers, some finding their marks among the defenders on the walls. Livia helped pull a wounded soldier to safety, her strength and determination matching that of any legionnaire. The walls of the fort began to crack under the relentless pressure, the wood and stone groaning with each new impact. Aurelian ordered a retreat to the inner courtyard, hoping to make a final stand where the defenses were strongest. The legionnaires fell back in disciplined formation, their shields interlocking as they moved in unison. Inside the courtyard, the civilians armed themselves with whatever they could find, ready to defend alongside the soldiers. Varro looked to Marcus, his eyes filled with fear, but also with a spark of determination. "We fight to the last man," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. The barbarians breached the outer wall, pouring into the fort with renewed fury, their victory seemingly inevitable. Aurelian fought fiercely, cutting down enemies with the skill of a man who had spent a lifetime at war. Livia stood beside the civilians, her spear raised, ready to defend them with everything she had. Varro took down his first barbarian with a swift strike, his fear giving way to a fierce resolve. Marcus rallied the remaining legionnaires, their numbers dwindling but their spirits unbroken, ready for the final charge. "For Rome," Marcus shouted, leading the charge against the invaders, his sword flashing in the afternoon sun. The barbarians were relentless, their sheer numbers overwhelming the defenders, but the Legionnaires did not falter. Aurelian fell, a barbarian spear piercing his side, but he fought on until his last breath. Livia defended the civilians with unyielding courage, striking down any who dared approach. Varro, bloodied but alive, stood shoulder to shoulder with Marcus as they made their final stand. The courtyard became a battlefield of its own, with bodies littering the ground and the cries of the wounded echoing in the air. The barbarian leader, a giant of a man, approached Marcus, his axe gleaming in the fading light. Marcus met the barbarian's charge head-on, his sword striking true, but the barbarian did not fall easily. With a final, desperate effort, Marcus drove his sword deep into the barbarian's chest, but his victory came at a cost. A blow from the barbarian's axe struck Marcus, sending him to the ground, his vision fading. Varro stood over Marcus, defending his fallen leader with every ounce of strength he had left. The remaining Legionnaires fought with unmatched bravery, their defiance burning like a beacon in the storm. The fort, weakened and broken, finally fell to the barbarians, but not without leaving its mark. Marcus lay dying, his hand reaching for the sky, his mind filled with memories of the empire he had served. Varro knelt beside him, his tears mixing with the blood and dirt, but Marcus's final words were of pride. "Rome may fall," Marcus whispered, "but honor endures." The barbarian leader, wounded but alive, saluted Marcus's body before leaving the fort, recognizing the honor in his enemy. Livia and Varro were among the few survivors, their lives forever changed by the bravery they had witnessed. The tale of the Legionnaires' last stand spread far and wide, becoming a symbol of courage in the face of insurmountable odds. In the centuries that followed, their story was told and retold, a testament to the legacy of those who refused to surrender.